Before the Dana Air crash,
Yeah.
the NCAA had a clean safety record of close to 6 years, 6 going to 7 years. And then subsequently it was saying that last year we saw a crash, this year we're seeing a crash. What do you think has happened?
Okay. Without being defensive, when you look years ago, if there is a crash, the first thing they say is a technical problem. That is what they say. But as Accident Investigation Bureau, the NTSB, they now advance their investigation to prevent a reoccurrence. Because those days, you have an aircraft crashed, they lose life, we don't know. So many things could cause it. It could be bot ingestion, it could be pilot error, it could be a lot of things. It could be air traffic controller. It could be, I'll give you an example, an aircraft takes off, heading 000. He now gives a heading, make a right turn to give heading 090. Now, 090, you can make a right turn to head 090. You could also make an anti-clockwise turn and go the other way. We have crashes like that before. So, how do you say that? Is that an airworthiness issue? Is that an air traffic controller issue? Is that a pilot error issue? Is that, I'm just using that.
But it does worry you, right?
No, it doesn't. What happened?
I mean, the crashes, the fact that we've broken our safety record does worry you.
It does. Yes, it does worry. What we don't do now, rather than apportioning blaming pilots, blaming engineers, we look at the systems. We look how we, first of all, have an understanding why you have a particular crash. What happened to it. You have an engine failure. Why do you have that engine failure? What are the reactions of the pilot? Did the pilot shots? When you have engine failures, you have checklists. Has the pilot gone through the right checklist? We look into that. Did he shot the right engine? Because has he shot the live engine?
The private airlines, Mr. Ade, they haven't actually, done us any good.
Okay.
You would agree. Since we've started taking a cue from where Mark was left off, if they've been dropping from the skies, the private aircrafts or airlines, we gave the business to them, to the private entrepreneurs to handle. And whether we like it or not, it's been some tales of wars and cries and panic in the hearts of air travelers. Shouldn't we have a rethink in all of this?
Yeah, we're having, let me just take you back a little bit. That area of private enterprises. If you have enough money to run an airline, for example, you cannot be the director of flight operation. Your own son or relation, you cannot say, I just bring my son or my friend to be head of maintenance. No. These regulations, Part 9, specifically 922, specifically tells you the qualifications of the people, the key post holders, people, the decision makers of that airline. It clearly states it. So what I'm trying to say here is, yes, if you have money, you can set up an airline. However, the management of that airline, they have to conform with the regulation.
Okay.
So that we don't have wrong people running the show.
Mr. Day, look at the issue of manpower, for instance, the NCAA. How much of manpower do you have, and how often do you train them?
Training, we're the biggest trainer. I left my file upstairs. I'm going to give you. We train every year. We train and we retrain.
Every year?
Every year.
How much of manpower do you have? Considering that we have about, let's just say on the average, one airport per state. We have about 36 airports plus Abuja. So how many staff do you have that do inspection and airworthiness?
They do, okay. Primarily, most of our inspectors are trained to be inspectors. They might have secondary functions, in the airline. As per figures, we have robust figures. We're looking at 70. I might file upstairs. I was going to bring those facts because that will,
But the reason, just to add to that, a host of people have started conjecturing that the NCAA could be broke. Is it true?
No, I don't. I'm not an accountant, so I can't.
But is it underfunded?
No, that is a very difficult question to answer, but because safety, we don't have a budget as far as safety is concerned.
You just have funds to run with.
We have funds to run it. So if we have to inspect an aircraft, to the best of our understanding, we have funds for inspection.
Are you saying that you don't have issues with funds to train your inspectors?
No, we don't. If we have, then they will.
You have not, at any point in time in the course of running this organization, got to a point where you don't have enough funds to send your personnel on training?
Let me put it from my own end in airworthiness. We program every inspector. We've programmed on a training. They've gone for that training. Does that make sense? I've never had an issue where we have to cancel a training because there are no funds. Does that make sense?
I don't know if you have been following what's been going on online, stories of 225 million naira to purchase cars, and then the NCAA doesn't have money for essential training. I don't know if you've been following that story. There's been, just this morning, we heard that the Ministry of Aviation confirmed that the NCAA indeed was asked to buy cars. Just yesterday, we heard there was a denial. I don't know what exactly.
I wouldn't know that in my position. I have so much to do.
You haven't heard of it at all?
There's a lot of things that are written in the news. If I have to follow everything I don't know where they get the information from. I don't know how. There are some.
Sometimes
people
get off the aircraft. I'm also going back to NCAA.
Okay.
People get off the aircraft, and you must have seen a thing or two you really don't like, that you want to vent and also complain.
You mean as NCAA?
Yes. Who do you meet? How do you get to NCAA?
So what do you mean? You mean passengers?
Yes, air travelers, passengers. When they see anything untoward in any of the aircrafts, they would warrant them coming to NCAA, perhaps until that thing is fixed before that aircraft takes off.
How do they know, though? These passengers, are they meant to be engineers or
don't engineers also fly?
No, you're
it's
talking
just
about.
For instance, I'm a broadcaster. Sometimes I watch a fellow broadcaster and oh my God, that's a gaffe, that's a big goof. And I can call the person. It's the same thing. A pilot or an engineer could be in the aircraft. So he could also be a passenger. So he too can actually notice one or two things untoward and want to report it.
They do report it to our inspectors on ramp. We have inspectors on the ramp.
How do you know them?
We're in our collaborate mind.
Okay.
We have a reflective jacket, NCA boldly written, NCA inspector. If your consumer's protection is there, you can identify us.
We still haven't actually trashed the issue of baggage. I was still
baggage.
Yeah. I asked a question earlier on about handlers, how we've been able to handle our baggage.
Handlers. We have baggage handlers.
Not through the security.
No. Loading the bags on the aircraft.
When you finally load it, do we go in to see if they're properly?
Yes. Let me go back.
Sometimes you travel and you hear a sound. Yes.
In flight.
Yes, in flight, as if something has actually shifted. You haven't heard it sometimes.
No, we have to be an engineer to identify. There are different sounds. Okay. Maybe you have hydraulic sound. Maybe you have landing gear retracted, and you have this pump. Comes in. Hydraulic pumps comes in.
It's the same way. That is why they tell you to be careful when you open your overhead locker, because definitely they shift. So we're also saying that perhaps in the baggage compartment,
they're strapped,
and someone checks.
Yes. That is what we said. Let me put. We have licensed dispatchers who now goes in and said, I want 20 bags in the front hold. I want 30 bags in the rear hold. I want so, you know, he have that. And apart from that, the baggage handlers now goes in. If you look at the baggage, try and peep into the baggage holds area. They have compartments. You know, you can load in this area, we have netting here. You load in that area, you have a netting, you know. And not having, that's part of the things that we check. The integrity of the security nets and straps.
Okay,
Mr. Davis, just to confirm, just to get this straight, you're telling us that the NCAA has enough money to do what it needs to do. I need to get that straight, and we need to allay the fears, because there have been conjectures, there have been people tweeting all sorts of things. It's very important that they get clarification that the NCAA is not broke.
In what context? The reason
they have sufficient funds to run their operations.
I can tell you that we have sufficient funds to run our operations. Let me explain that before I start. If we want to do an inspection, it doesn't matter whether it's in Russia or USA. I can guarantee you that we will dispatch, an inspector to go tonight. Now, I cannot pretend that there are rumors of people not getting paid. I see newspaper article, people getting out. Let me also clarify something, to defend the people in accounts. We have, because of fraudulent activities, we have procedures. Before you go on an assignment, somebody has to nominate you to make sure that you're qualified to go and do that inspection. Now, the director of that directorate will approve it. Then that approval goes to the Director General for final approval. From there, they generate your ticket, they work out your detail. We do have some instances.
Because we're so out of time,
okay,
but as we go, do you think, will anyone ever be sanctioned or imprisoned for negligence in the sector?
You mean with this? Yeah, depends on where the negligence comes from. If it's a corporate negligence, we have accountable manager. If we have issues, for example, that is the fault of the engineer. Yes, if the engineer is still alive, then you can take his license, or if the captain is still alive. But if you've lost the captain and the engineer, for example, what we do then, we'll make sure we look into it and make sure that things are put into place.
Well, Benedict Adeyeleke, many thanks for joining us this morning. He's the Director of Airworthiness Standards of the NCAA.
Thank you very much.